Elias Reeves was 42 years old, a quiet man with quiet money, the kind who drove the same truck for 9 years because it still ran clean and he had no one he was trying to impress. He kept his shirts pressed. He kept his coffee black. He kept his name off of documents that did not require it. On the second Tuesday of October, he came home to a candlelit dinner he had not asked for, and his wife placed a folder on the table between the wine glasses. She had been practicing her sentences. He could tell. She said she had outgrown him. She said marrying him had been her biggest mistake. She said it the way someone reads a verdict. Flat. Prepared. Already past the part where she had to feel it. He looked at her. He did not look at the folder. He had already known for 3 months that this was coming. What she did not know was who had signed the checks that built her company. What he uncovered next would change everything. Before we jump into the story, comment where in the world you are watching from and subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you need to hear. The kitchen smelled like the rosemary she had roasted with the chicken. 2 long taper candles burned in the silver holders her mother had given them at the wedding. Elias sat down across from her and waited. He had spent 14 years learning when not to speak first. Elias had spent the better part of 2 decades building things people did not see. He had started as a software architect at a fintech firm in the 2nd year of its existence, taken an equity stake in lieu of half his salary, and watched that stake quietly mature into a number he never said out loud. He had reinvested it through a family limited partnership his uncle had set up the year his father died. The partnership did not bear his name. It bore his grandmother's maiden name. He liked it that way. He liked the way money worked when it was patient and did not announce itself. He drove the truck. He wore the same charcoal-field jacket he had bought at a hardware store in Pittsburgh 10 years ago. He drank his coffee from the same thermos every morning at 6:15, standing at the kitchen window, watching the light come up over the maples in the backyard. He was the kind of man who answered every call by the second ring and ended every call having said what he meant. He had built, 4 years before he met Margot, a small portfolio fund called Cypress Lane Partners. He was the anchor limited partner. He did not sit on its investment committee. He preferred it that way. Cypress Lane backed early-stage consumer brands run by women founders. It was the kind of fund that read well in trade press, and the founders who took its money rarely knew the name of the man whose capital had made the check possible. Cypress Lane had led the Series A of a company called Lumera Skincare in the spring of 2021. The founder was named Margot Hollis. She was 34. She had auburn hair that she wore in a low knot and a way of speaking about ingredients that made venture capitalists feel like they were learning something. Elias had not met her until 18 months after that check cleared. He met her at a charity benefit his cousin dragged him to. She did not know who he was. He did not tell her. They married 11 months later. That was the thing she had never understood. Until now. 3 months before the candlelit dinner, Elias's Aunt Yvonne had called him on a Sunday morning at 7:40. Yvonne Calloway was 68. She had been a forensic accountant for the Treasury Department for 31 years before she retired. She was small and straight-backed and wore her silver hair in a chin-length bob. She drank Earl Grey out of a green ceramic mug that had a chip on the rim. She had been watching Margot's financials since the wedding. Elias had not asked her to. She had not told him she was doing it. She had just been doing it the way a person watches the wiring in a house they sleep in. "Elias," she said, "I need you to come over today. I need you to bring nothing but yourself." He drove 46 minutes to her house in Berwyn. She made him coffee. She put a manila folder on the table between them. She did not open it yet. "I'm going to tell you what I saw," she said. And then I'm going to show you what I kept. I need you to let me get through all of it before you say anything." He nodded once. She opened the folder. The first thing she set in front of him was a printout of a corporate filing. Lumera Skincare had taken out a working capital line of credit in February, 8 months earlier. The collateral on the line was a personal guarantee, signed by Margot Hollis and by Elias Reeves, joint and several. He had never signed it. "That is not my signature," he said. "I know," Yvonne said. "I pulled 3 of your real signatures from the records I have. The strokes are wrong. The R is wrong. The pressure pattern is wrong. It's a forgery, a confident one." She practiced it. He set the document down on the table. He did not fold it. He looked at the candle she had lit in the kitchen window for no reason he could name. He looked back at his aunt. "How much?" $440,000. Drawn down in 3 installments. The money did not go into the operating account at Lumera. It went into a Shell LLC registered in Delaware. The LLC has one other member besides Margot. She turned the next page. The name on the page was Trevor Quinn. Trevor Quinn was the chairman of Lumera's board. Elias had met him twice. He was 48, tall, had a way of looking at women that he believed he was hiding. He drove a black Range Rover Margot had described once as embarrassing. "He is also her boyfriend," Yvonne said. "I have photographs. I did not enjoy taking them. I took them anyway." Elias did not look at the photographs. He did not need to. He had noticed it the way he noticed things. Margot had been working late on Wednesdays for 7 months. She had stopped wearing the small gold cross she had worn since her grandmother gave it to her at confirmation. She had started using a phrase he had never heard her use before. That is fair. When she ended phone calls, she would not let him hear. He had filed all of it away the way he filed things, quietly, without announcing what it meant. "There's more," Yvonne said. The Shell LLC had been used to acquire a competing skincare brand at a steep discount 11 months ago. The competing brand's IP had then been quietly folded into Lumera's product roadmap. The $440,000 he had not borrowed had been used to buy an asset Margot and Trevor now owned outright, an asset that was simultaneously inflating Lumera's valuation in advance of a Series C term sheet. The Series C was being negotiated at that moment. Elias looked at the documents the way he had once looked at architecture diagrams. Not at any single piece. At the whole shape of it. He could see how it fit together. He could see what she had been doing while he had been believing in her. He could see exactly what she did not know. He could see also the single most important thing she did not know. Cypress Lane Partners, the fund whose Series A check had launched Lumera, the fund whose pro rata rights gave it veto on the Series C, was anchored by a family partnership called Whitfield Holdings. Whitfield was his grandmother's maiden name. The fund's general partner did not know the principal's married name. The fund's investment committee did not know Margot was married. Margot did not know that any of the money she had spent 4 years describing as hers had come through a structure her husband controlled. "How long have you known about Cypress Lane?" Elias asked. "Since 2 weeks after the wedding," Yvonne said. "I assumed you would tell her when you were ready. I have been waiting to see if you were ever going to be ready." He was quiet for a long time. Yvonne refilled his coffee. "What do you want to do?" she said. He folded the bank statement in half and in half again and put it in the inside pocket of his field jacket. He looked at the candle in the window. He looked at his aunt. "I want to wait," he said. "I want to see what she does next." He did not move fast. That was the part she had never been able to account for. She had spent 14 years deciding exactly what kind of man he was. She had been wrong about the most important thing. She had mistaken patience for the absence of capability. It was not. Patience was his most practiced skill. It was just the one she had never had reason to watch him use. He went home that Sunday. He kissed Margot on the forehead the way he had kissed her on the forehead every Sunday for 14 years. He ate the salmon she had grilled. He listened to her describe her week. He noticed, now that he was looking, the way her sentences had small rehearsed shapes in them, the way she said Trevor's name with the careful neutrality of someone who had practiced saying it without any particular weight. He noticed the way she touched her phone face down on the counter when he walked into the room. He had been noticing all of it for months. He had just not given himself permission to look directly at what he was noticing. The next morning, he called his attorney. Walter Price had handled Elias's affairs for 11 years. Walter was 61, methodical, the kind of man who returned calls before 7 in the morning and read documents looking for the exact place where something broke. "There are a few things I need you to start on," Elias said. "Quietly, none of this hits anyone's desk until I say. Tell me what you need." He told him. He told him about the forged guarantee, about the Shell LLC, about the diverted $440,000, about the Series C that was about to close, about Cypress Lane, about Whitfield, about the structure that connected all of it that Margot had never traced because she had never imagined she needed to. Walter listened. He did not say anything for almost a full minute after Elias finished. "All right," he said. "Don't do anything yet. Don't move money. Don't change locks. Don't let her see anything different in your face. Eat dinner at home. I will have a forensic team on the bank records by Tuesday. We will pull the signature analysis. We will trace every wire. By the time we are ready, she will not have a single exit that you have not already mapped. How long? 8 weeks. Maybe 10. Take 10. He did not call his cousins. He did not call his closest friend. He did not tell anyone outside Yvonne and Walter what he knew. He drove the same truck. He drank the same coffee from the same thermos at 6:15. He kissed his wife on the forehead on Sunday mornings. He went to her company's offsite in October and shook Trevor Quinn's hand and listened to Trevor describe Lumera's growth trajectory with the kind of confidence a man only has when he has not yet seen the room he is actually standing in. Walter called him on a Thursday in late November. "We have everything," Walter said. "The signature is a forgery. We have 3 independent analysts on it. The wire trail is clean. The Shell LLC is documented. The competitor acquisition is documented. Trevor's beneficial interest is documented. There is one more thing." "What?" "The Series C term sheet was finalized yesterday. The closing is scheduled for the 14th of December. Cypress Lane's GP is being asked to sign off on the pro rata waiver, which they cannot do without LP consent. They have a board observer seat included in the new round. They are sending a representative to the closing." "Who is the representative?" "Whoever you tell them it is." Elias was quiet. He looked out the window. The maples in the backyard had gone red. He could hear Margot upstairs on a call, her voice climbing through the floor. Not the words, just the shape of the voice she used when she was performing. "It is going to be me," he said. She called him to dinner 4 days later. She lit 2 long taper candles. She roasted a chicken with rosemary. She poured 2 glasses of wine. She placed a folder on the table between them. She had practiced her sentences. He could tell. "Elias," she said, "I need to be honest with you. I think I have been honest with myself for a while now, and I owe it to both of us to be honest out loud. I have outgrown this marriage. I have outgrown the version of myself who chose it. I am filing for divorce. I have prepared a separation agreement that I think is fair to both of us. I want this to be civil. I want this to be quick." He looked at her. He did not pick up the folder. He did not pick up his wine. "I'm sorry you're having to hear this way," she said. I tried to find a better way to say it. There isn't one. I have to be the woman I am becoming. I cannot keep being the woman I was when I married you. You are a good man, Elias. You are a steady man. You are exactly the man I needed for the chapter of my life when I needed you. Marrying you was, looking back, my biggest mistake, but it was the mistake I needed to make to get here. I hope eventually you can find peace with all of it." She stopped. She had run out of prepared sentences. He did not raise his voice. He did not break a glass. He did not throw the folder. He picked it up. He looked at the first page. He looked at her. "All right," he said. That was the whole sentence. He set the folder down. He picked up his jacket from the back of the chair. He walked to the front door. He stopped in the doorway. He did not turn around. "I'll have Walter contact your attorney," he said. He closed the door behind him. He drove 46 minutes to his aunt's house in Berwyn. He sat on her couch. He did not say anything for almost 10 minutes. Yvonne did not ask him anything. She made him tea. She put the green ceramic mug in his hands. "She said marrying me was her biggest mistake," he said. Yvonne did not say anything for a moment. "What are you going to do?" she said. "I'm going to let her finish the sentence," he said. "She has not finished the sentence yet." She called him on a Wednesday morning. He let it go to voicemail. Her first message was soft. She said she hoped he was doing okay. She said she knew this was hard. She said she wanted to handle everything with grace and dignity. She said she had been talking to her attorney and that everything they had built together would be split fairly. She emphasized the word fairly. She called him again on Wednesday afternoon. The second voicemail was different. The softness had tightened. She said she had been hearing that he had hired an attorney named Walter Price. She said she had heard that Walter had been asking questions about Lumera. She said that this was unnecessary. She said this had nothing to do with Lumera. She said she hoped Elias was not being put up to anything by anyone who did not have his best interests at heart. He listened to the second message twice. Not because it upset him, because he wanted to note carefully how fast she had moved from softness to pressure. He wanted to remember the exact shape of it. He did not call her back. Walter did. Walter spoke to her attorney for 9 minutes. He said only what Elias had told him to say. He said the separation was acknowledged. He said the property division would be handled in due course. He said Mr. Reeves had no further comment at this time. He said this twice. The Series C closing was scheduled for the 14th of December. Cypress Lane's general partner had been informed that a principal LP representative would be attending in person to review the diligence file before signing off on the pro rata waiver. The Lumera team had been informed that an LP representative was attending. They had not been told who. He called Margot's phone 2 days before the closing. He spoke evenly. He asked if they could resolve some of the outstanding personal property matters without involving the attorneys. He said he wanted to handle it like adults. She agreed before he finished the sentence. He could hear the relief she was trying to keep out of her voice, and mostly failing. He ended the call. Yvonne was watching him from the other side of the kitchen. "She thinks this is already over," Elias said. Yvonne said nothing. She refilled his coffee. He arrived 40 minutes early on the morning of December 14th. He liked it that way. On any job site, on any closing, on any meeting that mattered, the person who arrived last was already behind. The conference room was on the 22nd floor of a building on Park Avenue. Long table, neutral walls. The city visible through floor-to-ceiling windows, gray and cold, under a flat winter sky. He set down his folder. He sat with his back to the window. Walter Price arrived 9 minutes later, followed by a forensic accountant from the firm Walter had retained, and a partner from the venture firm that served as Cypress Lane's general partner. They arranged their documents. The room was quiet. The Lumira team arrived in 2s and 3s. The CFO, the general counsel, 2 associates from Lumira's law firm. Trevor Quinn came in at 5 minutes to 10, wearing a navy suit and a watch that cost more than the truck Elias had driven into the city. He shook Walter's hand. He glanced at Elias. He did not recognize him at first. He had met Elias twice in 4 years. He did not place him as someone who belonged in the room. Margot walked in at 3 minutes to 10. She wore a cream suit. Her hair was down. She was carrying a leather folio she had bought in Milan the year before. She walked in with the confidence of a woman who believed the room was already hers. She glanced at Elias once, a quick, professional assessment. Then she looked away. Then she looked back. Her face did the small, specific thing a face does when it has been forced to recheck an assumption it had stopped questioning years ago. "Elias?" she said. He did not answer her. He looked at the Cypress Lane GP, who nodded once. The GP cleared his throat. "Before we begin the closing," the GP said, "I want to introduce the principal LP from Whitfield Holdings, our anchor partner. Whitfield holds approximately 71% of Cypress Lane's committed capital and exercises veto authority on all follow-on rounds. The principal has flown in to personally review the diligence file before we sign the pro rata waiver. This is Elias Reeves." The room did not react immediately. It took about 4 seconds. Margot's face was the first thing that changed. Then Trevor's. Then the general counsel's, who had not heard the name Reeves in any document she had read. "I'm sorry," Margot said. "I don't." Walter Price opened his folder. He began to lay documents on the table with the unhurried efficiency of a man who had done this many times. He did not speak loudly. He did not speak slowly. He spoke at the speed of a man reading a report. "Before we proceed to the closing," Walter said, "there are several items that require acknowledgement by all parties. In February of this year, a working capital line of credit was drawn against a personal guarantee jointly executed by Margot Hollis and Elias Reeves. The total drawn was $440,000 across 3 installments." He paused. "Mr. Reeves did not execute that guarantee. The signature is a forgery. We have 3 independent analyses confirming that finding. A civil action has been prepared. It has not yet been filed." He let that sit in the air. He laid the next document on the table. The proceeds of those 3 draws did not enter Lumira's operating accounts. They were wired into a Delaware-registered LLC of which Miss Hollis and Mr. Quinn are the sole members. That LLC subsequently acquired the intellectual property assets of a competitor brand, which assets have since been folded into Lumira's product roadmap and are reflected in the valuation upon which today's Series C term sheet is based. The forensic accountant placed 2 more documents on the table. The wire trail. The acquisition filing. Walter walked through them. Voice even. Factual. Not cold. Simply precise. Margot's expression had not changed. Or rather, she had worked very hard to keep it from changing, and that effort was visible to anyone watching closely enough. Elias was watching closely enough. Trevor Quinn's face had changed. He had stopped looking at Margot. "We want to be precise about what we are and are not saying," Walter continued. We are not asking the board to take a position today on the criminal aspects of the forgery, which will be addressed in a separate proceeding. What we are doing is disclosing that this documentation exists, that it has been preserved, and that as principal LP of Cypress Lane Partners, Mr. Reeves does not approve the pro rata waiver required for this Series C to close. The waiver is therefore not granted. The round, as currently structured, cannot proceed. Lumira's general counsel looked up from the document she had been reading. For the first time since entering the room, her expression was not relaxed. The silence in the room lasted 11 seconds. Elias counted them. We will allow a few minutes for the Lumira team and their counsel to review, Walter said. Elias stood. He gathered nothing from the table. He had brought only the folder, and it had served its purpose. He buttoned his jacket. He shook the GP's hand. He shook Walter's hand. He walked toward the door. He stopped. He turned to Margot. He said it quietly, only for her, not as performance, because it was meant for her. You called me your biggest mistake, he said. You should have checked who signed the checks. He walked out without looking back. It did not happen all at once. The Series C did not close. The competitor IP, which Lumira's roadmap depended on, was restored to the Delaware LLC and then, as part of the civil settlement, transferred into a neutral trust pending resolution. Without the IP, Lumira's valuation was halved within a quarter. Two of the smaller LPs in the existing round triggered protective provisions. Trevor Quinn resigned from the board in February. By April, he had also resigned from his other two board seats, citing personal reasons that everyone in his world had already heard the real version of. Margot did not lose Lumira. She lost the version of Lumira she had been planning to sell. She kept her title. She kept her office. She kept the loft on Green Street. She lost the round, the IP, and the board chair who had been her ally. She lost the woman she had been planning to become. She was carrying the weight of what she had chosen, the way a person carries something they cannot set down. Not dramatically, just constantly. The divorce closed in March on terms that were generous to her, more generous than she had earned, and exactly as generous as Elias had decided in advance he was willing to be. He kept the truck. He kept the house in Berwyn that had been in his family for 41 years. He kept the things she had not known to ask for, because she had not known they were his. Cypress Lane Partners closed a new fund that summer. The principal LP did not attend the fundraising dinner. The principal LP rarely attended anything. Elias was building something, not fast. The way he built everything. He took a board seat at a small structural engineering nonprofit that retrofitted public housing. He answered every call the same day. He gave accurate timelines and hit them. His Aunt Yvonne came to dinner on Sundays. She brought her green ceramic mug. She drank Earl Grey at his kitchen table. 14 months after the closing that did not close, on a Sunday evening in February, Elias sat at his kitchen window with his thermos of coffee. The maples were bare. The light was the slow blue light of a winter dusk. He watched it move across the backyard. He thought about a candlelit dinner. He thought about a folder he had not opened. He thought about the woman who had practiced her sentences and the man who had practiced his patience. He went inside and turned out the light. I hope you enjoyed that one. Be sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next story. I've picked out 2 more for you that I think you'll really like.